world of handmade business can be tough when trying to monetize what you love. We've got truth bombs and motivation to help you find your way through. Passion to profit, let's start today, 'cause the world needs what you create. Tune in right now, it's your shot to learn how to be a handmade boss.
So you've uploaded your products, your shop looks great, and maybe even you're getting a favorite or two, or maybe like a sale or two every other week, but sales are not consistently coming in. And today, that's what I'm going to be breaking down in this episode. We're going to be talking about what's kind of really going on when a listing looks good, it looks nice on the outside, but it's not really converting as much as you hoped it would. So most people, to be honest, at this point, I'm going to put my cup of tea down. Most people, usually at this point, they're feeling frustrated, they're feeling angry, they're feeling upset, they're feeling all of the feels, right? And that's when they tend to go to a Facebook group and they're like, you know what? It must be the algorithm hates me. But the truth here is that Etsy actually sends you buyers all of the time, right? Because it wants you to get sales, because when you get sales, they get fees, they get commission, they get whatever. So Etsy wants you to succeed, which is something that I want you to keep in mind whenever you're like, oh my God, it must be the algorithm. It's changed again. I don't know what's kind of going on. It's obviously just not really liking me, right? So the reason is that they're not buying because something in the listing is breaking their journey. Something is turning them off. Okay. So in this episode, I'm going to walk you through 3 layers that make listings sell. And I've got some notes here. So if you see me looking down, that'll be why. So number 1 is getting found, which is traffic. Okay. Obviously, I know. Number 2 is getting clicks, and that's the appeal. Okay. Number 3 is getting purchased, and that is the conversion side of this. So let's get into layer number 1, which is getting found, traffic, all that kind of stuff. Okay. Getting views, visits, searches, whatever. So Etsy search is in and of itself a matching engine. Okay. If you're not using buyer keywords, you're essentially going to be invisible here, right? So example is, let's say your listing title is handmade candle, right? Now I know Etsy's latest advice has been, hey, we want shorter titles. We want things to be very succinct, very, very short. But the problem that I see there is that, okay, yeah, it's a handmade candle, but that's not even giving the buyer any indication. Like, is it a lavender scented candle? Is it a candle for relaxation? Is it a housewarming candle? Like, no one really knows if your titles are too short. And to be honest with you, like, lots of people have done tests, and we've done our own tests within the team. And I'm going to be honest, the whole shorter title thing, not really working, because, hey, they're giving you like 150 characters of yummy SEO space. Why on earth would you not use it? You know what I mean? But handmade candle, as far as that goes, it's just too vague, right? Buyers are going to be searching for things that are a lot more specific, because if you have a search for handmade candle or gift for her, or I don't know, any other vague thing on Etsy, you have like 20 gazillion results, and people are not going to sit there and scroll endlessly through results, especially if they're buying for a gift. They just want that stuff done, dusted, wrapped, sorted. So instead, try something like vanilla soy candle or eco-friendly Christmas gift. They are far more long tail keyword search terms, which kind of makes us feel like they're going to be further along in their buying journey. Because, okay, people might start off searching for handmade candle, but like I said before, they're very soon going to realize that, yeah, okay, I don't want to be scrolling through like 42 pages of search results. I just want to get to where I need to go. Very rarely do listings do well if you're just having very short, very succinct keyword phrases. And to be honest, the testing that we've done, they don't really do very well with very, very, very short titles. I mean, there's short titles, then there's short titles, right? You know what I mean? But you definitely want to be making sure that you are using words that people actually use to search, but not when they very first start their journey. You know, you want kind of like a few searches down, and that's where the long tail keyword phrases come into play. You're adding words to the search. They're adding words to their search so that they actually find what they want to find. Okay. So here's a quick win for you. I want you to go into your own shop, type your product into the Etsy search bar and look at auto suggestions. Okay. I know this is really basic, but I feel like we forget to do that sometimes. And we're all stuck on like using eRank and using whatever. So I know this newfangled Etsy SEO tool. At the end of the day, you really want to start your SEO research on the platform that you intend to sell on, because that's the only way you are 100% going to know that the suggestions are good ones, they are real ones, and they're ones that people are actually searching for. Etsy's connecting the dots for you, if that makes sense. Okay. So the auto suggestions, when that little drop down menu, so when you start typing in handmade candle on Etsy and then the little drop down menu comes down, those are the exact phrases that buyers are using. So you want to add those naturally to your title and tags. Now, just a side thing here is that you want to make sure that you are not changing anything on any listings that are doing well. That is the golden rule of e-commerce as a whole, okay? Reason being is that as soon as you change stuff, A, you might be turning the buyer off, and B, you might be turning the algorithm off. It then resets things. You then have to wait sort of 2 to 3 months again before, especially Etsy, they see how people interact with your new changes. And, then you're waiting 2 to 3 months for the listing to be found again. It might not even be placed in the same place in search, or you just kind of want to leave those things alone. Okay, so layer number 2 here is getting clicked. This is the appeal bit of this, okay? Even if you are showing up in search, you are competing with dozens, hundreds, thousands even of other thumbnails, of other first pictures. And I feel like this is definitely something that a lot of people miss, is that everybody is so focused on SEO and getting ranked. And hey, my God, like all of my SEO videos on YouTube always do really, really well because people are just searching for that. But the issue is that, hey, you might be getting ranked reasonably well. But if people are not really vibing with your thumbnail picture, with your first image, with what you are basically presenting them on the search results, people are not going to buy. And that might be your problem. It might not be getting ranked, getting seen, because Etsy doesn't tell us, outside of ads, how many impressions your listing gets. If you run Etsy ads or Facebook ads, it will tell you how many impressions, aka how many times this thing has been shown to potential people. It only tells you visits, views, conversion, all that kind of stuff, sales. So it's kind of like we're kind of missing that key piece, which I don't blame you guys for thinking, okay, I'm not getting seen, I'm not getting ranked, therefore I have to work on my SEO. But we're just missing this core piece, which is the appeal, which is, okay, you're being presented to that person in their buffet of search results, but is that person choosing your dish, So we know that buyers scroll fast. Like you have 1 to 2 seconds, if that, to grab them. Because when someone is searching on a site, search, marketplace like Etsy, they kind of want to get in and get out. They kind of just want things to be very, very quick. And I shop like this as well. I mean, I'm probably even worse because I have ADHD. So for me, I'm like, right, I have to focus. And I personally only have a very limited window of focus. So I have to make sure that I'm in it and I get the job done. But I can't get the job done if I'm endlessly scrolling. I'm just like, oh, whatever. And then that's when you get favorites, but not sales, because people are just like, oh my God, like I like this looks perfect, but I have this question, but I'm not sure if it will get here in time, but, So the mistake that I see a lot of people do here is they have dark, cluttered or artsy photos. Listen, your artsy pictures, the ones with like different lighting and, all that kind of stuff. They're great for social media and they look nice to you, but they don't answer that age-old question, what is this? So an example here is that I once coached someone who sold jewelry and she only used styled photos with models, right? Gorgeous, but they were so zoomed out. Like if you can imagine, you have like from the bust up, And the pendant was this little tiny thing. And the photos looked amazing. And the only tweak she had to do was to zoom in. And the minute she did that, her conversion rate tripled, literally overnight. And it was just that little missing piece. It's not this big whole thing of, oh, I'm not being ranked and I'm not, it's this very small thing that a lot of people miss. So quick win for you is your first picture, your thumbnail image should be product focused. Okay. Should be bright. It should be clear. You can use styled shots within the listing images itself, but don't use it in the first one. Your thumbnail should be clear. It should give people clarity on what this thing actually is. So layer number 3 to this is conversion, getting sales. All right. This is where most listings actually fall down. Like I said, everyone is so in on layer number 1, they forget layer number 2 and layer number 3. And even if you think you're like down with this, you're like, yeah, I've got these layers down. Please just go and just have a look, like view your shop in incognito mode, do the searches, do the thing that your target audience would do to get to your product, please, because I promise you there's something that you're missing. So layer 3, like I said, getting conversions, getting buyers. All right. So a shopper clicks, but doesn't check out. Why is that? Like, why are we turning people off now? So there's 3 reasons, and there's 3 things that I see a lot of as a coach that I think because we're so in our business all the time, we just kind of forget and we just kind of go like a little bit blind to, and we put our blinders on and we just kind of ignore that. Or we go, oh, no, that's okay because I'm changing those pictures in like a month. Your buyer doesn't know that. You know that, but your buyer doesn't. So those 3 things are, number 1, trust gaps. So things like no policies, very few reviews, vague descriptions, just not really garnering that trust because, the internet and e-commerce is a magical thing. We have these little things called credit cards, debit cards, and we spend our hard-earned money without ever seeing the product in the flesh. Like if I was buying this mug, not with the lipstick stain on it, but if I was buying this mug, I would be like, yeah, I mean, it's cute. It's got like a little like dotted appearance. It's got an S on it. It's blue, but I'm taking a risk here, really, which is what e-commerce is. It's people taking massive risks, with their hard-earned money, which is crazy. It is crazy. So you have to make sure that you have their trust. And to have their trust, you do need things that reinforce that, hey, this product is going to be good. It's going to be exactly what you ordered. You're not going to get scammed. It's not going to arrive broken. You're not going to have to deal with this whole thing, Number 2 is urgency gaps. Again, so many people miss out on this. And this is where listings feel like it will always be available. Now, here's the thing. I mentioned earlier about people's attention spans being like 1 to 2 seconds, if that. Now, alongside that is this whole thing of, okay, people don't have very high attention spans. Their focus is very, very small, but they need to have that urgency to actually purchase. Otherwise, they never will. And this is something that I know probably 80% of you are just straight up missing. So you want to make the listing feel like they have to buy it now, whether that's a sale, whether it's there's only one left, whether it's like a limited edition, whether it's only available until the 1st. You have to add some kind of urgency in there. Otherwise, people will just put it off. Like, okay, let's think about the stuff on your to-do list. Not talking about like business stuff, but like house stuff. Should you have mowed the lawn last week? Maybe. Should you have mopped the floor 2-3 weeks ago? Yeah, maybe. Should you have thrown out those old makeup sponges that perhaps are kind of festering in there? But yeah, maybe you should have. But you're putting it off because it doesn't seem urgent. And by the way, all those things I do. So I'm speaking from experience here. But you have to make listings feel urgent. And you have to make whatever you are offering feel like I have to take action now. Okay. Number 3 is connection gaps. Now, this is where your sales copy comes in play, and it's really important. And it's why I don't recommend using ChatGPT. I'm gonna go on a bit of a rant here now. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but across Etsy, across social media, across everything just seems to be meh, doesn't it? Everything just feels like, okay, fine, whatever. Nothing feels different. Nothing stands out. Why? Because everybody is using AI. Everybody is using this extremely tempting, I'm not going to deny that, this extremely tempting tool, which promises to do all this for you, all these things that you thought, I wasn't very good at this, but now I have this tool that's going to do it for me. The issue with it is that ChatGPT learns, but it also does more regurgitating than learning, which sounds gross, I know. But what it does is it basically goes, oh, we told this person this thing when they said type my Etsy description, and we're going to tell this person the same, and this person, and this person. And all this is going on 1,000 times a day. So you can imagine over the past 3 years is that everybody has just started to sound the same. And sales copy is actually so important that I think a lot of people miss out on. And that is things like your description, your attributes, your frequently asked questions, even your policies, things you post on social media. They are so important, because if your copy doesn't make the buyer feel like, this is for me, oh my God, this has been that thing that I've been missing, people are not going to connect. And the only thing that makes our brains remember is emotion, is feeling. That's why the minute you smell apple crumble, you're like transported back in time when your nan used to make you apple crumble. It's because it has that emotional connection that makes the synapses in our brain fire off and makes us go, ooh. And not enough people, and sadly less and less people are having that emotional connection because everyone's using AI. Now, AI is a great tool. It is a great tool. It's great for things like spell checking. It's great for things like, can you like analyze this calculation that I've just done, make sure I've done it right. But it is not creative. It is not creative. So please do not use it for really important stuff. Okay, so an example here is, instead of saying soy candle in a jar, try this. A cozy winter vanilla soy candle, perfect for gifting your sister who loves cozy nights in with a good book. Right? So here's a quick win for you, is that add one line to your description that tells the buyer who it's for and why they should care. Like, why does it make a great gift? Why is it something that you should add to your jewelry box? Like, why should people care? And I'm not saying that in a real, like, crappy way. I'm just saying that as in, like, you know what? Like, you care, I care, but why should your customer care? Do you know what I mean? What I want to leave you with here is that your listings are not broken. They are just missing one of 3 layers. That's traffic, clicks, conversion. They all need to work together. So your homework, I've kind of just like given it to you as we've gone on in these 3 layers, but I hope that you will actually like save this and re-listen / rewatch whenever you're feeling like frustrated and like the algorithm hates you, because I promise you it doesn't. And I promise you that these 3 layers are really the core thing that will impact your entire business. All right. So guys, please subscribe to the podcast if you're listening on the podcast. Do the same on YouTube if you're watching. Leave me a comment. Let me know. What do you think? Did you like it? And yeah, I will see you all real soon, same time next week for another episode of How to Be a Handmade Boss. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you love this episode, make sure you hit the follow button so you never miss the next one. And also, why not come and hang out with me on Instagram? It's at Handmade Bosses for daily tips, behind the scenes. And also, don't forget, you can catch the video version of this podcast over on YouTube too. Until next time, keep going towards your handmade business goals, boss, because the world really does need those special creations that only you can make.